Well, we got another repair to do. Better grab my snow brush because it snowed. It's on the Honda. I know Hondas don't break. This one did. Let me down at the store. So, we got to find out why it won't start. First, I better clear all this snow off it. Look at the Henry J. Jeez. If you haven't seen any videos of that Henry J, check them out. Alright. We got lots of snow here. Oh, and I made my life easy. I blocked in the tractor that plows the snow. So, I have to either fix this to get the tractor out or push it. And to push it, I have to get to my other vehicles, which are way up there under the trees. So I got to plow that snow as well. So again, I got to move the tractor. So let's see if I can get it going. First again, I'm going to clear it off. Show you that's how deep the snow is here. And that's overnight. That's from last night. It started about 6 o'clock. So we got a bit of snow. I think it's 10 in the morning now. Anyway, I'm going to clear the rest of it off and get ready to fix this beast. So for obvious reasons, I left out a little bit, and that's what I did yesterday when it broke down. I checked the battery. It had over 12 volts in it. So we know the battery's good. You can't see the starter, so there's no check in there. But I also didn't hear a click. So that made me think, well, here, I'll show you what it does. Watch, it'll start. Nothing. No click. We got all the lights up there on the dash, but that's it. So, I'm lowering this cover because I know the ignition switch, where the key goes, but the other end, there's a switch or a sensor, they call it, is right about there. So we're going to take that screw out, this screw out, and that screw. No, I pointed that one already. Well, there's one more. There. That screw. So we'll get those 3 out, lower this cover, we'll have a look at that switch. So we separated these 2 halves of the cover. We'll pull this down, we'll get it below the steering column, like below the steering wheel here. And then we got to pull it out, so towards yourself. And then you can see why. Because it has these things, which are like knives really, I guess, or guides that slide in those slots, one there and one over there. So these are the wires we want to see. That yellow one is to trigger your starter. I believe the white one is power in. So let's check that, make sure we got power, which again I know I do because the dash illuminates when I turn the key. But we'll check it anyway, and then we're going to check that yellow. Okay. Alright, so Honda being awesome. They have nice metal tabs here. Fantastic ground for a test light. So there we go. So we'll check this wire here. And you see that the light lights up. So we do have power, which again, we sort of knew that. So let's check the yellow. Now another thing we can check while checking the starter is we can check this wire, make sure we got power there. That's the signal wire that goes to the starter, so it goes to the solenoid and triggers it to say, hey, start the engine. So unplug that, put a test light on there, and we can test that. All right, so onward with the starter. I jacked it up, put it on some 4x4s, and of course I put some Sorbol and some salt down underneath. Don't want anything sliding on me. And to remove that lower balance, lower cover. Big hunk of cardboard to lay on, because it is wet out here. And once you get cold and wet, that's it. You're done. All right. Let's grab that couple more tools, and we'll get the bracket off, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, so maybe I'll take this bracket off, and that makes that a little more flexible because it's a little more movement. I gotta take that bolt out there, right there. It's like 12 mil. And then at the other end, up at the top there, way up there, there's another nut. So we'll take that bracket off. And in behind there is the starter. So just back in there. And somewhere over here, right around there. It's hard to see, but as I start removing stuff, it'll be easier to see. All right, so that's where that other nut is, up here. You need a deep socket to get that guy off. And there's also a wiring harness attached up there. But maybe we can leave that attached and we'll just poke that thing out of the way. Get to our starter. All right. So that's where that nut came out of. It actually was a stud. Here it is here. So I ended up pulling the whole thing out. Not on purpose, it's just the way it came out. So we'll remember where that went. I took that bracket on the other side of this hose here. So this is it here now, sitting there. And I'll just leave that plastic wire thing attached. Plastic's not too forgiving in the winter. All right, so there's our starter right here. I'm touching it. And 117 mil bolt here. And a 14 mil in behind that you can't see. There's also a knock sensor here. We're gonna take that guy out. I don't want to damage that. All right, onward. All right, I was able to unplug the knock sensor, which is just above my finger there, as far as I can stick that in, right there. I was able to unplug the electrical connector, which was a little bit tricky. You got to push the tab down and pull out at the same time, and you can only get one hand in there, so that made it a little tricky. Now I'm going to try to remove I am going to remove the knock sensor. Some knock sensors go into coolant passages. This one does not, so thank goodness for that. So I'll get a socket on there and get that guy out. All right, I took the 17 mil out from there, and the 14 mil, well, the socket's still on the stud, or the bolt that goes in the back there. Now we're gonna break the starter loose. I also snipped that. There was a tie wrap on there, because the last time this broke, that plastic broke as well. All right, so I'm gonna bump that out of there. All right, so I carefully twisted it downwards, and now I can remove the two wires. So we got the solenoid wire here and the main power there. We'll take those two off, and then I'm gonna go in and warm up. All right, new starter's in. It's looking good. The hardest bolt will be that back one in the back of the starter there. Getting that knock sensor threaded back in, only because it's so tight in there, it's a treat too. Anyway, a couple more things to put on. I still have that bracket. I still got to put this guy back on, but I'm done. It's almost 5 o'clock and it's getting cold. All right, I reconnected the battery. Let's see if it'll start. Success. All right, back in business. Of course, I still have to put the steering column back together, but that's all part of the diagnostics. At least I got a running car again. All right, let's see what it looks like today. I've already been out here, obviously, and shoveled a bit of snow. It's getting deep. All the cars are covered, and the wind is picked up. There's a good old tractor, earning its money, earning its keep. Hopefully you can hear me over this wind. Yeah, I had to come up through here and put this battery in. Of course, that was my choice, I guess. All right, battery's in. I'm gonna start it. All right, so the starting issue is fixed. Let's just confirm that. That's after sitting in -20 all night. But you will see I have another issue. Now, my wife drove it for 10 miles or something like that, and that didn't come on until about the 9th mile. So it's not something that I disturbed. Well, it could be something I disturbed and it's loose connection, but I checked all the connections down in there. I didn't really see anything that could be moved. So let's do a bit of testing. Yay. You can see what it looks like out there. Every now and then a gust of wind, we're having like 70km/h winds blowing snow around, and minus 15 or whatever it is out there. It makes it nice. So what, we got 331,000 kilometers on it. That's pretty good. Last time I did this starter, it was around when I did the tune-up, that had 262,000. So the other way of doing that starter is you pull the intake. I did that the first time. I wanted to see if this was any easier. It seemed like it might be. I think if I was to do it again, I'd pull the intake. Just don't forget to get those gaskets. You'll need one for the intake and one for the throttle body, which is down here, right there. You need that gasket. So if I was to do it again, I would do it that way. Just my opinion. Now, so I guess my question would be, the starter went and then the alternator went. Why is that? So put your comment in the comments. Tell me what you think. I have a pretty good idea, but I'm going to tell you after the next video when I do this alternator. Alright, so we'll end the video on not starting, because I got it running and everything. It's running great, other than it's not charging. So we're going to work at that. We'll make another video for that. And thanks for tuning in for not starting. Like, share, subscribe.